Hey beauties, good morning to you. So last evening I was watching Dionne Jackson Miller's program. She had 4 panelists on the program. But you'd say 3 elderly men, 1 real elderly, 2 not so, and 1 young, fairly young guy. And a Tom, I don't know their names. People forgive me. I know one seemed to be an attorney, the man with the goatee beard, and another elderly man, at the farthest end from each other. And the young one, kind of in the center with the other fellow there, I think he's a part of the, what's the name of that group again? I don't remember it right now. But anyway, and she was really talking about, obviously, the whole local government saga that we're experiencing, that I can even hardly believe that we're going through this. And the fellow is right, that young guy, he said, a lot of Jamaicans have no clue about local government. They mix it up with central government, national issues, which is true. Some people don't even know the divisions. Based on where I work, I realize that each ministry, each entity, they look at divisions differently and give it a sort of different name than how certain ministries may do it. Like I can tell people area 1 comprise such and such, area 2 comprise this, area 3 comprise these divisions, area, but they speak a little differently, as it relates to government. So I realize they categorize things differently than how maybe my ministry would do it, and so on. So I realize that I don't know it from the local government's perspective. It's something that anybody can learn over time, because people may ask them what division they're in, they don't know. I couldn't speak from that area. I couldn't speak from how they allot their division. I can only speak from the way how we speak about divisions and areas and so on and zones. Now, so I agree with the young man. The goatee man there, I think he's an attorney. I don't know his name. He said, when Dionne Jackson Miller said, we looked at the 2 manifestos, one submitted, which is the PNP submitted theirs 4 days before the election, the JLP the day before the election. He and the elderly man and even the other 2 said, nonsense, rubbish it. One said, treat it like toilet paper. The elderly one, the eldest man in the group, the other man said, rubbish, nonsense. When you look at it, by and large, you may have a little 1 or 2 points in each of them that may say something that you can link it back to local government, but it really dealt with national issues, which tells me it was a hurry come up thing. Obviously it had to be hurry come up from the mere fact it was submitted 4 days before it, and 1 day before. The man, he kept using this word bolloslush. You ever see when, normally when you have food and they mix up everything in a one, bolloslush, it may taste good, but it don't look good. And the eyes are the windows to the soul. So if it sends a message to your stomach, this not gonna taste good, don't care how you're hungry. You have to probably hungry to the point where you're gonna drop down, you might taste the food. And the food may taste bad because of how it looks to you, and so on. Although I've heard the saying, them say when puss hungry, they eat parched can. In other words, when you're hungry, you name what you want. Not me though. That's not me. My taste buds still kick in, even when I'm well hungry. Sometimes you just eat the parched can because you might not want to drop down. And he said, rubbish it, nonsense. Boy, the other tried to compose. I said, but, she said, but I saw this thing, I pointed the PNP. He said, look here, what kind of, yeah. But all of it dealt with national issues. He said, even the campaigning, which is true because, and I believe what these men are saying, because people even asked a question, well, will Mark Golding be sworn in as Prime Minister? People thought it was almost like general elections. They literally thought it was a situation like that. The campaigning surrounded national issues, not so much local government issues. It's no. In the aftermath, you hear people saying, even the finance minister was talking when the Jamaica Civil Service Association president came out and was speaking, and he talked about the 3 million people complaining about the water and the roads and whatnot. That is when he started to zone into the whole local government situation. I found something, and let me even interject here and put this in. The eldest man there, with the beard coming across. I'm so sorry, people, that, I really wish, I'm going to have to learn people's names. But he said something very fundamental. He said some of these politicians should be in prison because he said $77 billion was allocated. 70, and nobody knows where it has gone. And he kept saying, where is the 77 billion? Where is the 77 billion? I was frightened when I heard that figure. He even went further to say that, look here, away from that 77 billion, he says, let me tell you something. because of how local government is treated. The last election of local government was in 2016, and you have barely, it was a 0.5 above what we had now. 29.6, it was 30 point something. And he said that monies, they have to go to central government to get monies, because people don't really invest so much in local government. You know, it's almost like you create a position out of a situation. People are paid. You get some money, and you might patch up a little road with the same. I said to myself, you know, I'm glad that this came on, because the same issue have them use that same pro patch ingredient to patch up the road. As soon as that, you never have to make wait until rainfall. He said when it rains, somebody just need to wash their cars a few times on that same spot, and then it digs deeper. When the hole come back, you know, when you hear people say when the cancer return, it comes back with a vengeance, it comes back aggressive. It is the same thing like when the roads get damaged. So when they put the pro patch kind of a thing, the cheap material, the cheapest becomes the dearest, as them say. The cheapest becomes the most expensive. The man say bolloslush. The whole thing is bolloslush. The same attorney there, bolloslush. And he's so right. Bolloslush. National issues are really put in their manifestos. National issues. You know, you might have a little one or two little liners in there that it may seemingly can be related to local government, but the entire thing, you know, they're separate entities. Yes, one may be under the umbrella of central government, under national, but they're still separated, because you have to deal with things. You have to compartmentalize things. We don't just deal, in other words, you don't eat your breakfast, lunch, and dinner in one, in the sense that you make egg and bread, you know, and with sausages or bacon. Then you cook rice and peas and chicken, and then you eat some soup or whatever in one sweep like that. You don't generally do that. You eat at certain times throughout the day. You don't bolloslush everything, because you might pick up colic. As Jamaicans would have said, bad belly. Bad belly. You understand me? The whole thing is almost like the man said, we can hardly believe that this is really happening in Jamaica. We can hardly believe. You wonder, is it incompetence? Is it don't care? What is going on? What is really going on here? Because this is complete madness. Complete madness. The man said bolloslush, and they had to agree with him. One of the things posited is that by one of the panelists, one of the older men, and he said, you know, that some of the issues need to be dealt with by the people. You know, Dion Jackson posited something good. She said, what is the name of that group again? I don't know. Is it civil society? I think, yes. And she's saying that that's the same problem, because some of them are the elite, so they're not able to reach down to the lower man or woman, so to speak, you know, because they're not incorporating everybody. And that's the unfortunate thing, where equality needs to be had. Some of the issues that we have, he says, if you leave it up to politicians, it will not be done. They can't be everything to everyone. They cannot. They're not God. So if we leave it up to them and the civil society, if it is only lead, then we're going to have a problem, because the masses are not. He said one of the men was, the same goatee man was saying Spanish Town thing was, it's still in a dilapidated state. The market or somewhere, you know, or the drainage. One of the two he mentioned from 1970 odd, before I was born, whatever year he called. I said, oh my God. So you can't blame, when you can't just say blame GLP or whatever it is. You have to blame the two sides. In a bad condition, deplorable. Deplorable. There are many places that have been deplorable before this present government. And I'm not blaming this present government or the other one just in per se. I'm saying to you that the both parties are guilty of not dealing with local issues in a comprehensive way, in a meaningful way, in a deep way. See the man call it bolloslush. Bolloslush. Bolloslush manifesto. Him say rubbish it. The other one say treat it like toilet paper. The two of them. Madness. But he also said, let me tell you, the two parties can be and if this one, since this one is in present leadership, the JLP, let me tell you, it is an indication that they can actually lose the general election, because he says that a lot of the local issues cannot be dealt with in a few months. Or let us say go all the way back to next year, September, to call election. If them farm fool, I don't know, they need a miracle. They need Jesus to go help them if you go work a miracle if they want to win. Guys, follow me on TikTok, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please share this message.